Thank you, Joey. Good morning, everyone. So each year we go, as your leadership, we go to C.A.R's annual conference and expo, and then we go to the NAR's annual conference. This year the C.A.R. was held in Long Beach and the NAR conference was held in Boston. So we just got back about 2 weeks ago. But this is an opportunity for us to bring back information to you as your representatives there. And please feel free to flag us down afterwards and ask us questions. You've been hearing a lot from me lately, so I'm going to go last, and if there's any room, then I'll give you some more updates. But with all the election goings on the past couple weeks, I think you're kind of tired of hearing from me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with Helen, then we'll go to Susie, and then Tom. And Helen is going to start off with professionalism from C.A.R. NAR.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
I don't know what you think, but for me, I think a realtor is a high-level professional. Nothing different with attorneys, doctors. But do you see people negotiate a price with lawyers, with your doctors, when you have surgeries? No, but why we have a lot of people negotiate price with us all the time?
Right.
And then sometimes we even voluntarily to offer discount. I think in order to have respect from people, we should respect ourselves at the first place. But how to respect yourself? Be professional. Be the one that can give your clients the best recommendations towards anything real estate related. And then we all know we are in a very tough situation because there's so many industries and then come into real estate to cut the pie of the realtors. And then inside our realtor members alone, and some people cut ourselves very deep. And so I think, during these tough situations, it's time for us to not sit back, but to improve ourselves, be more professional, and improve our professionalism. So now through NAR, there is a tool for us. Write down www.C, number 2, and EX.Realtor. That presents commit to excellence. It's like a self-assessment under different elements. We always say we learn from what we don't know. But what about we don't know what we don't know? Then you never have a chance to improve yourself. But through this, you can go through the categories and find out your weakness. And I know a lot of people are very knowledgeable, but sometimes you will be surprised to find out actually you're not as good as you thought. But through that, and then they will route you to different areas, at least different things that you need to learn. So I think now during the holiday seasons is slow, and then it's for us to spend some time on ourselves to be professional, more professional. And also we still follow the compliance to the Code of Ethics. So for this year, they will be due December 31st. So people who need to finish the training, that's 2.5 hours. And I hope the brokers and the managers to gather information to see how many your agents need to comply with it. And if you're the boutique brokers, and you also can go online to check, or our office usually will send out the people who need to finish that 2 hour and a half trainings. So do so. Don't ignore it. There is a big discussion through C.A.R. level, through the professional committee. It passed committee, but it's not past the board directors' final approval. So it's back to the committee, and then I guess that will look again on January 2019. I think we announced here many times that you all know we have C.A.R. website to list all the ethic violators. How many of you check it? You will be surprised. There are a lot of people there. And so far, that is information only open to our members. So you need to sign in and go check under the violators you will see. I think it's good to check, because throughout those violations, you know something that you might not know before. And then so now you pay attention, you know that is, they are the violations that no for you to do it. And the discussion is whether we should let this open to public, or give access to the web page so the public can know these violators. I personally support this because there are so many people continually violate the ethics. Why? I think because the consequences is not big enough for them to be fair. So now I want to ask you all, what's your opinion? Do you think we should give the public access to know these violators?
Yes. Definitely. Yes.
Can I have show hands how many people support? Okay, then so the rest who didn't raise hands, are you or?
Violators.
I hope not. I hope not. Well, we definitely will bring your opinions, your thinkings to our next meeting. But no matter what, remember, we are professionals. We're not only knowledgeable, we should always follow the code of ethics. And not only that, if we all want to limit all those violations, we need to step out to report whenever you see people violate those ethics. And remember, under the code of ethics, we have 3 fiduciary duties. One is to our clients. The second is to our realtor associates. And the third is to the public. So please always remember that. Okay, thank you.
Hello, everybody. So at C.A.R. state level, I serve on several committees, but I will be reporting on local government. I'm the regional rep for our region on that, and also I'll touch on public policy where public policy forum where I'm a member. Quickly on the local government, a lot of discussion, but usually when something takes precedence, the other cities will begin to follow. So up in Northern California, Richmond now has a vacant property tax between $3,000 to $6,000 a year for a home property that's vacant for 50 days. There was discussion whether it's 50 days per year or 50 days consecutive. And that's also, they kind of followed suit. That takes place in Oakland. Richmond's doing it, so there'll be other cities. I know we have a lot of vacant property here, so it might be something coming this way. That's usually what we talk about, what's happening around the state, and that will typically follow. Also about transfer tax throughout. A lot of discussion was in Northern California on that. For public policy, the topic was grappling with housing affordability and availability, what policies are working and what aren't. They had a panel of speakers. First, they talked about planning and zoning requirements and restrictions. With local zoning, C.A.R. has been active in addressing affordable housing by consistently sponsoring and supporting legislation to increase housing availability. Generally, if growth management legislation promotes housing near transit, C.A.R. can support it. On the other hand, if it promotes no growth, such as urban and growth and earth boundaries, C.A.R. must oppose it. So some of the policies that were discussed regarding local zoning that C.A.R. has supported, transit-oriented developments, example, creating high density near transit. There was legislation, Senate Bill SB 827, which was transit-rich housing density bonus, and that failed. The housing element reform for strengthening and reporting requirements to meet regional housing needs, penalties for not meeting state housing goals. And there was, so what that was, Assembly Bill 879, the housing element developers, and that was signed by the governor. There's SB 1296 for Department of Housing and Community Development Database of Local Fees, that failed. Fixing Regional Housing Needs Assessment, that was signed by the governor. And Building by Right, which is streamline the ministerial approval process for development. SB 35, and which is the streamlining affordable housing production, signed by the governor. SB 765, planning and zoning, streamlining the approval process, was signed by the governor. And AB 2631, which is expedited permit for infill housing, that failed. We also talked about housing finance and affordable workforce housing. C.A.R. defines affordable housing as affordable workforce housing, and it's focused its activities on helping to create a path towards affordable home ownership for workers in California. C.A.R. supported SB 2, which dedicated 20% of all of the funds generated to affordable workforce housing programs by imposing a $75 per document reporting fee on every real estate instrument not part of the transaction. C.A.R. has continued to offer solutions that create opportunities for affordable workforce homeownership. We've been working on a home ownership savings account, and C.A.R. has supported the policy for the creation of home ownership accounts, which allow home purchasers to deduct and deposit into a home ownership savings account for the purchase of a home. Creating a home ownership savings account and allowing for the expansion of the program to qualify families making at or below 120% of AMI, which is C.A.R.'s definition of affordable workforce housing. Unfortunately, Assembly AB 53, AB 1758, and AB 1979, which are all home ownership savings, all failed. So last, there was the increase to the homeowner's property tax credit. Existing property tax law provides for homeowners property tax exemption in the amount of $7,000 of the full value of a dwelling. C.A.R. has also supported to increase property tax credits in the past. AB 1100, which is the homeowners tax exemption and renters tax credit, failed. AB 1922, California Competitiveness and Innovative Act, also failed. So you can see a lot of what C.A.R. is doing is fighting issues that actually protect and help our business, and that's where the support from all of you come in, where you continue your work, but we have those that are fighting these issues for us. Gavin Newsom, who I believe is going to be the governor, just a little back and forth on all the ballots. He's proposing to build 3.5 million new homes by 2025. So I believe our housing shortage update was 400,000 homes currently. So it's an aggressive number. I guess more to come on that. There is discussion on CEQA laws having to lift quite a bit to make that happen. And also we had a huge discussion on Prop 10, which C.A.R. opposed, and we won, so that was a big one for us. That's it for right now. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you today? I get the luxury of going behind these fine individuals, and some of you are probably, and no offense to either one of them, some of you are probably half asleep. You're probably half asleep when you got here, but you're going to be completely asleep when we get done with you, trust me. No, but anyway, this is something that we need to go over with you and kind of give you an idea of what's been going on at both NAR and C.A.R. That's our job as directors, and we are expected to report back to you. As dry as some of it may be, it is things that you do need to know about. So let me just dive right into my report. So mine is going to be on NAR in Boston, and I'm going to be reporting on the policy issues, so I'm just going to jump right into my notes and try to plow through this as quickly as possible. So the National Association of Realtors is attempting to allow stricter response to realtor ethics violations. The board has approved 5 new policies that are designed to improve public trust in the profession. On Monday, November 5th, while we were in Boston, the board of directors of the National Association of Realtors approved a handful of policies to tackle a couple of ethical quandaries in real estate. One of those having to do with listing broker transparency, and another with realtors who are accused of a crime. All 5 of the policies passed without any discussion or debate, and with an overwhelming majority of the vote of the nearly 800 directors present at the NAR Board of Directors meeting held this year. Here are the ethical issues the new policies are meant to address. Number 1 being new disciplinary tools for egregiously unethical behavior. NAR's Pro Standards Committee proposed 3 amendments to the trade group's Code of Ethics and Arbitration Manual, which sets out how realtor associations should ensure due process when conducting hearings to enforce NAR's Code of Ethics or arbitrations regarding real estate business disputes. Associations must follow the manual's policies in order to continue to be covered under NAR's professional liability insurance. The amendments strike out language that was previously prohibited in an association's professional standards committee from holding a hearing to evaluate an ethical complaint if the realtor was involved in any criminal litigation related to the same transaction or event. These changes treat civil and criminal litigation very similarly, allowing a professional standards committee to hold a hearing on the complaint at the discretion of an association's grievance committee or board of directors. They also require associations to consult legal counsel before deciding to hold such a hearing or not. There may be circumstances in which irreparable harm may be done to the public and to the Realtor brand if no action is taken by the association to discipline an individual who may have engaged in egregiously unethical behavior merely because there is a criminal litigation pending with respect to the same transaction or event, which has been the case in the past. NAR's Professional Standards Committee said in their stated rationale for the amendments that these revisions give associations discretion to hold ethics cases in abeyance where there is criminal or civil litigation pending upon consultation with legal counsel, rather than making it mandatory that cases be held in abeyance where criminal litigation is pending. Second thing that came up was listing broker transparency being required or else. So also back in May, NAR's Board of Directors approved in addition to the trade group standards of practice regarding the submission of offers. Upon the written request of a cooperating broker who submits an offer, the listing broker shall provide a written affirmation to the cooperating broker stating that the offer has been submitted to the seller or the landlord, or that a written notification that the seller or landlord has waived their obligation to have that offer or offers presented to them. At the time, NAR leaders said that this change would benefit both brokers and consumers by assuring them that their offers were presented. On Monday's Board of Directors meeting on November 5th, NAR's Board of Directors reinforced this new policy by making it a citable offense under NAR's model citation policy and schedule of fines for a listing broker to fail to provide the requested affirmation or notification. So if they don't provide, you ask them for that, they don't provide it to you, you can go after them and they will be sanctioned for that. NAR's model citation policy and schedule of fines, if adopted by the association, offer expedited process for consideration of ethics complaints involving alleged violations that may objectively be determined to be a violation based on information in the complaint. NAR's Pro Standards Committee also stated in their stated rationale for the policy's change, discipline for citable offenses may only include fines and education, and the process is designed to quickly and easily impose discipline for violations of the codes that are not egregious. NAR's Board of Directors also approved a related policy change submitted by the trade group's MLS Policy Committee, in addition to NAR's MLS Policy Statement 7.73, you'd think I'd know that because I'm the one that pushed that through last year as the chair of MLS Policy. Rights of cooperating brokers in the presentations of offers. So that addition reads, where the cooperating broker is not present during the presentation of the offer, the cooperating broker can request in writing, and the listing broker must provide written affirmation stating that the offer has been in fact submitted to the seller, or that written notification that the seller has waived that obligation to have the offer presented. So please don't forget that. That's very important. The addition creates the ability for additional disciplinary action against a listing broker who fails to provide written affirmation that an offer has been presented, or that their agent has failed to present an offer to the seller, or that the seller has waived the obligation to have the offers presented. Of course, they always have that ability that if they tell you that they don't want it presented, you can't present it to them. The addition also extends the requirement to not just Realtor members of an MLS listing service, but rather to all MLS subscribers according to their committee, because there are all different types of people that access the MLS. There's appraisers, brokers, agents, so forth. NAR approves of this, segueing into something else now. As you know, the Me Too movement's been pretty prevalent over the last year, several years. So NAR has approved a new updated harassment policy for the Me Too era. That revised code of conduct will include expanded definition of harassment while raising the stakes for those who violate rules. With the Me Too movement all over the news, the National Association of Realtors has overhauled their behavior policy, and it expects its nearly 1.4 million members to follow and adhere to those policies. Our industry, our associations are working hard to educate and train members and executives on how to professionally behave and create an environment that's welcoming to all. Katie Johnson, our Chief General Counsel at NAR and Chief Member Experience Officer, said on stage Thursday in Boston at the Trade Group's National Conference that this was going to occur. It was not just something that they had thought about, that this was actually going to take effect. Earlier in the week, NAR's leadership team also approved the new NAR member code of conduct and anti-harassment policy to address how members engage with other members and also with staff in an NAR setting. So this isn't just about sexual harassment. NAR's old policy focused mainly on sexual harassment, whereas the new policy covers sexual harassment, and it also covers a myriad of other forms of harassment. Harassment, as most of us know, in any form, it is and should be strictly prohibited. Harassment includes inappropriate conduct, comment, display, action, gestures based on another person's sex, color, race, religion, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender, identity, or any other protected characteristic. The new policy will be reading examples of harassment include, but are not limited to, epithets, slurs, negative stereotyping, threatening, intimidating, or hostile acts, denigrating jokes, and the display of or circulation of written or graphic material that denigrates or shows hostility towards any individual or group based on any protected characteristic. So, as you can see, unlike the old policy, the new policy specifies that sexual harassment may involve people of the same or of different genders, as in the old policy, it only referred to one gender. The old policy said sexual harassment does not include occasional compliments or voluntary relationships between members and staff. However, the new code of conduct is silent on these. NAR declined to comment on the reasons behind specific changes to the policy, only saying via email that the policy was updated to ensure that it is relevant to today's standards. Sexual harassment can also deviate associations, and I'm sorry to go into this, but it is a very important topic. The old policy mentions the effects of harassment on NAR exposure to legal liability and interference with work effectiveness. These are not mentioned in the new policy. However, in a March video that was produced by NAR, Chief General Counsel Katie Johnson spells out why Realtor associations should implement and institute a very strong sexual harassment prevention program. That information is available to all of you on Realtors.org if you'd like to implement something along those lines in your own individual offices, but the individual associations are required to adopt it. Sexual harassment can also devastate associations by resulting in employee turnover, lack of member participation, reputational damages, and legal liability for the association and members. Expulsion from membership is, in fact, a very real possibility. In the video that I previously described that Katie Johnson, the General Counsel, recorded back in March that's available on Realtors.org, she advises associations to clearly explain who will be involved in the investigation of any type of sexual harassment complaint and the due process that will be followed throughout the resolution. The new anti-harassment policy does this. It specifies who a member should report inappropriate behavior to: the NAR General Counsel, the NAR Senior Vice President of Talent Development Resources, or the NAR President. Under the old policy, members were to report to no more than junior leaders, so that would be myself, Helen, Lee, Susie, anybody on the board of directors, Albert, or any of the staff members. And unfortunately, sometimes that stuff would fall through the cracks. People may not have intended it to, and may not have thought that what we were hearing was sexual harassment. We didn't know. It wasn't clearly defined, but now it is, and now you know who to report to. If you still have questions about that, please, I urge you to visit Realtors.org. This is a very serious issue, and we want to make sure that if it is occurring to you, that it ceases to exist. The new policy also specifies that NAR's general counsel, currently Katie Johnson, will conduct an investigation, and only those deemed necessary in the investigation will be involved. So if you report anything, you don't have to worry about the people at the local association being involved, your name getting dragged through the mud, those types of things. People at the national level, I don't mean this to sound bad or negative in any way, they probably don't even know who you are. You're a number, you're basically a number to them. So you're off of their radar. Whereas here, you're dealing with it here, I get it. It's a very uncomfortable situation. If the probe finds that a violation of the policy has occurred, NAR's president, president-elect, and first vice president, in consultation with NAR's general counsel, will determine if disciplinary action is appropriate according to the policy. And if any of those officers are named in the complaint, then NAR's general counsel will identify a substitute chosen by NAR's executive committee. The old policy threatened only appropriate disciplinary action, while the new policy is more specific. NAR reserves the right to take any necessary and appropriate action against a member who engages in any form of harassment or inappropriate behavior in violation of this policy, and the new code of conduct reads, such actions may include, but are not limited to, prohibition from attendance at any and all future NAR meetings or events, removal from a committee appointment, expulsion from membership, or any other action deemed appropriate by NAR. So they are very serious about this, and I would urge you to be very serious about it as well. So why is there no retaliation statement? One piece of what Katie Johnson gives out in his video, Door to Door, does not appear in NAR's new anti-harassment policy. However, it does not include, also does not include a statement assuring those who come forward that they will not suffer reprisals. Among the reasons victims do not come forward is, as most of us know, is a fear of retaliation. Be sure your association's policy contains a no retaliation statement assuring complaints that no negative consequences will result from any report that any of you make in good faith to anybody that you make them to. That concludes my portion of the NAR report. There's a couple other things that I just wanted to mention. Leslie Ruda-Smith was elected unanimously. She ran unopposed, so she has been elected as the president. The 2020 first vice president of NAR, making her the president-elect in 2021, and she will be the president of NAR in 2022. Some of you may have heard on the news, or may not have known and have seen it on the news, her brother Harley Ruda ran for Congress against Dana Rohrabacher, and he was successful in unseating Dana Rohrabacher down in Orange County. A couple things on the MLS side. The leadership team decided to take immediate action on a recommendation that came out of the MLS Technology and Emerging Issues Advisory Board meeting last March, where when MLS of choice came about, and this does not so much affect our area as opposed to areas that have overlapping MLSs. So if you were a member of multiple MLSs, oftentimes you were forced to pay to be a member of both MLSs, whether or not you were using both MLSs or wanted to use one and not the other. Well, now the MLS Policy Committee at NAR has a policy in place where it is mandatory that the broker has to issue a waiver and the other MLS has to issue a waiver to you if you do not choose to subscribe to the other MLSs, provided you're at least subscribing to one MLS. Last, but certainly not least, many of you probably heard about the listing broker attribution proposal that was being pushed forward by Redfin at the National Association of Realtors level to do a link back from any type of IDX feed or from your own personal website. Many of you know from looking at other agents' websites, their IDX sites, you're looking at it, Zillow is a prime example, although you can find it buried down at the end. You will not find attribution to the listing agent until you scroll way down to the very end in very small print, or you don't see it at all. So Redfin wants it to be mandatory that there be listing attribution, on any type of feed that goes out that's not yours. If you're authorizing another agent to display your listings on their website, Redfin's proposal wants you to have an active link that links back to your website so that you get proper attribution on that listing. The only problem with that is after we had entered into extensive discussions with Google, we found out that that could be construed. The premise of it was great. I don't think anyone here would disagree with wanting to get attribution on your own listing. It's your listing. You're the one, you're the authority on it. You should get attribution. You should be the one that people are coming to, not John Doe in Timbuktu, somewhere that has no idea about it, but he subscribes to your IDX feed and gets that information about it. Well, it sounds good in premise, but the problem is that Google at this point considers it a linking scheme. So what will happen is you would get whitelisted. So anytime anybody tried to go to your website from that point forward, they'd get a 404 error or something along those lines, which doesn't serve you any good, as you all know. So we are actively at the NAR level working with Google. It's somewhat unprecedented. We're one of the first trade organizations that has ever been able to enter into direct conversations with Google executives and have high-level discussions with them on trying to figure out how to get this right. They admitted to us that they do not know how real estate works. They don't know how SEO, search engine optimization, works, how certain listing agents can get their listings up at the top of a search. Let's say you put in my name, Alhambra, and you'll get Caesar's website. Cole Banker George will come up first, even though I may spend 6 or 7 hours a week working on SEO, putting in meta tags and everything inside my website. This is the problem with Redfin's proposal. It could end up getting everybody whitelisted, everybody in real estate. So to their credit, they want to know how, they admitted that they don't know how we do business. So to their credit, at least they're sitting down at the table, they're talking to us so that we can try to get this right, make it better for all of us, so that we can all make money and prosper in the business that we all love so much. Thank you very much for your time. And I apologize for that.
So if you give 3 past presidents 5 minutes each, what's that total?
Yeah.
45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to defer my comments. We've got about 4 other directors that weren't able to come today, so maybe we can get with the MLS committee and have another one of these panels and get you the other updates, and I'll give my update at that time. But I did want Tom to share something with you that he shared with me yesterday regarding realtors that were affected by the Paradise Fire up north.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an emotional thing for me. So the Paradise Association of Realtors, if you have it in your hearts at all, if you can give $10, if you could give a gift card, I'm sure Albert would be willing to take them, or the staff would be willing to take them. The Paradise Association of Realtors, they're up in Northern California. They're just east of Oroville, about 10 miles, east of Chico, about 10 miles east of Chico. And due to the Camp Fire, they have, like I said, approximately 125 members up there. There's still 149 people missing. And last count, I think that the last I heard there was 29 dead. Maybe I heard more than that this morning. Anyway, of all the members of their association, they know for a fact at least half the members of their associations lost their homes. Their entire board of directors lost their homes. Their AE lost his home. Their entire staff lost their home. And they lost their association office. So they have absolutely nothing up there. They're living in their cars. they're living in roach-infested motels. So if you can find it in your heart to, like I said, to you give a small monetary donation to Albert, give him a check, whatever. Gift cards, they said, are the most appreciated thing right now. Just is gift cards, just going to Walmart, Target, any type of fast food place. So anything that you could do, I'm sure that they would really appreciate it. Yes.
I have a suggestion. Why don't you do on Facebook, do a GoFundMe page?
The problem with GoFundMe is they take an awful lot of money. So the preference here would for us to try to figure out something that we could do through some type of charitable contribution to them, which the board of directors, I'm sure, will talk about at some point. But that is a good idea. Unfortunately, I've done that before when I've done fundraisers myself, and I found out that they take a lot of money. It doesn't go straight to who you think it's going to. Thank you.
Who do the check out to?
Tom, who do they make the checks out to? Should we run that
Paradise
through?
Association of Realtors.
Paradise Association of Realtors. Okay, on a lighter note, go Trojans, beat the Brewers. All right. Helen, would you please come up for your president's message?
First of all, just recently, one of our past president passed away, C.A.R, and he was our 1979 president, and then the year, Realtor of the Year 1980. So I'd like to ask for 30 seconds silence to honor him. All right, thank you. And then now I'd like to, all of us, sing happy birthday to one of our young realtors. Our own Tom Berge Sr., 28th birthday today. Happy birthday